So it's club seats in Hilton Head and cheap seats in Bluff.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we'll add to the podcast if you mention that you heard about club seats or cheap seats. From Real Talk, you get a free drink.
This is our first promo.
Yes.
Hashtag. All right. Free drink.
Yeah, you say the podcast. I found out about you from the Real Talk podcast. Free drink.
So what brought you here, Rob? What are your kids' favorite things about growing up here?
Talk about some of what you do and your businesses and how you got involved in it. And if Beaufort County had its own reality show, what would it be called?
Welcome to Real Talk Hilton Head with David and Dale Cross, the real estate lifestyle podcast of Coastal Carolina.
Join us as we share stories from our community, insight into the local lifestyle, and the real scoop on real estate.
From market trends to home design, we dive deep into what it means to live and thrive here.
Discover the state of mind and philosophy of the Lowcountry that enriches life through personal growth, health and wellness, and human connection.
Whether you're a local or thinking of becoming one, we're here to guide you through the ins and outs of living this coastal escape.
Tune in, relax, and enjoy the conversation with Real Talk Hilton Head,
the podcast of Coastal Carolina.
This episode is brought to you by the David Dale team, powered by eXp Realty in Hilton Head.
All right, welcome to Real Talk Hilton Head with David and Dale Cross. Today, this is the Shoot the Shit episode, and we have two of our guests are really our friends, and so today is really just about just shining a light on local legends, as I would like to call them, even though they probably wouldn't see that. We're going to go from the dugout to the dock, and we're going to talk everything. So welcome Rob Hmel and Garrett Hamilton.
Yes.
And
Thanks for joining us.
guys.
We were looking forward to hanging out with you guys today.
Awesome.
yeah, so I want you guys to go ahead, and if you had 60 seconds in an elevator and somebody just met you, and you had to give your elevator speech on who you are and what you're all about, fire away.
Put you on the spot, right, to start.
Go ahead, Rob. I don't know
Rob's
who
good
I
at
am.
this.
Well, I'll start. 60 seconds. Father of three, married. I tell everybody I have 3 careers, 2 restaurants and an insurance business. But my official job is that I work for the Hilton Head Baseball Association.
Yes, you do.
Perfect.
And by the way, folks,
Salary of about minus $15,000 a year. So.
That is
it's the only job you pay to work at.
hashtag true.
Yes. So that's my elevator story. So, restaurants, insurance, baseball.
But you know what I love? You started off with family.
Exactly.
And that's really who you are.
Yeah. That's what's so exciting about you guys, because you're locals, you're business owners, and you live the lifestyle. You have family that's integrated into the fabric.
Yeah.
Of Hilton Head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really excited to unpack all of that with you guys.
All right, Garrett, you're on the clock.
Father of 2. Run those kids around all over the place. A lot of baseball, a lot of sports. Try to make sure they don't kill themselves most of the time. 3 businesses myself.
What are your 3 businesses? I didn't know you had 3.
Yeah, IMC Resort Services, so community management. We have also a separate business in Charleston, IMC Charleston, and then we have Sunquest Property Group, so we do long-term rentals. So 3 of those keep me busy, keep our business, my business partners and I busy. We have over 100 employees, so.
You're one of the biggest employers on the island, aren't
I think we are, yeah. Absolutely, yeah, I think so. So that, and then baseball, everybody laughs at me when I walk out of the office changing my baseball attire at 3:30, 4 o'clock every day, and they chuckle and say, they laugh, and every day it's get on the baseball. We just started a 7U baseball team. I think I'm crazy. It's a 7U baseball team that we're starting, because as frustrated as I get with, dealing with my employees sometimes, they'll probably watch this and laugh, but it's the 7U thing. I'm excited about it because we got 10 great kids and athletes, but tomorrow's our first tournament in Richmond Hill, so that's all about me. Yeah, so.
Well, because I want to stick on the baseball thing, because you're wearing the hat, and I'm glad you did, because I wore the hat.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Because it's funny, because that's how we met primarily, right, was through the baseball. And for me, I knew we were going to be sports oriented, but I played baseball my whole life, loved it. It was actually my favorite sport. probably not my best sport, but my favorite sport to play. And I never realized that baseball would literally embed us into the island. Like, I feel like we have the real life here because of baseball.
Yeah.
And,
not many people would think Hilton Head and baseball go together, but it does. It's a major part of family life here.
Well, it's out of baseball season. I don't know what to do with myself, so I don't speak to my baseball family.
Something that you guys don't know is that you guys probably think that Garrett and I knew each other for years and years.
I would think that.
But it's not true. So how it started was I was walking by and I overheard parents talking about a little 5-year-old that can swing the bat. You know what I mean? And the next year when it came up to draft, I had remembered his name, and it was Graham.
Oh my gosh.
That's how it all started, because I overheard people bragging about how well his son can hit.
Yeah.
You know, when he was just a little teeny 5-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, and then the next year when Graham turned 6, whatever that was, 4.5, 5 years ago, and that's where it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's how. So you weren't coaching then? That's how you got involved.
I helped out just to help out because he needed some help, and then it was funny how I got in coaching. The boys.
We did know of each other from rugby and Penn State and things like that, but not like to the level.
What do you mean rugby? Did you play rugby?
Garrett was in rugby.
Oh yeah,
and
12 years.
And the original Cheap Seats hosted some rugby.
Oh no way! They had rugby on the island.
Yeah,
like a
right
rugby.
now they restarted the team. Yeah, they've been playing in now a few years. So.
Oh my God! Do you still do it?
No, I don't still play rugby. I know some of the guys. I know some of the guys, but I played 12 years down here from 23 to almost 35.
Yeah, Kirby, if you're watching this, you still owe me $250 for that rugby party.
I remember. I'm gonna find Kirby on social media and make sure he sees this episode.
The Helmet Rugby, that's the thing, you know.
There's a message in this episode for you. That's awesome.
For you,
no
Kirby.
more free parties until I get my $250.
I love it.
No, the rugby guys are right. No, this is about rugby. Rugby guys are great. The only sport that I know, and it started way back him, and not only was Garrett, but Craig and Brian Dorsheimer and
Dorsh was in it
those
too.
Guys, were in rugby, but. They bring up after they're done beating the crap out of each other.
It's a podcast.
Right. They all come and they drink and eat together.
Yeah.
So I've never been with a sport like that where you can be in a contact situation where somebody can bust your nose open and an hour later you're sweaty and drinking beer with them and doing that kind of thing. So it is pretty neat because a lot of them do show up. So it's kind of for me it helped understand or try to like the stuff that we're doing with Bluffton now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for years it was Hilton Head versus Bluffton, and now our executive board and Garrett and I and others in the HHBA, it's great to compete, but now we're doing things together. Like last week was our first ever Battle of the Bridge 8U tournament where all the 8U teams went out to Bluffton and come in here. And it's just like, there's community amongst competition.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
that's a great way to describe it because I feel like that's truly your heart.
I was going to say that's you.
Because he's. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I said that's truly your heart is bringing everybody together.
Well, for me, it's I'm in both communities. I mean, Garrett is too. I mean, we have businesses that are in both Hilton Head and Bluffton. We live in Hilton Head. We're restricted to the boundaries of Hilton Head, but our businesses. Still are in Bluffton as well. So, we have a lot of contacts, a lot of people, a lot of sponsorships, a lot of things like that. So it is easier for me and him to, have that kind of camaraderie, I guess, attitude about it, but.
Are you thinking of selling your home?
With our exclusive Elevate package, we combine over 50 years of experience, cutting-edge data analytics, our unique marketing strategies, and our extensive network to help your home rise above the rest.
While maximizing your sales price and minimizing the time on the market.
So contact the David Dale team today to learn more.
Yeah.
A rugby guy can go beat the crap out of each other. They can go sit and have beers afterwards.
Right.
We can play 10-year-old baseball.
That's right. I'll say about rugby too is I go up anywhere if I wear a rugby shirt or my old jersey or something like that, and you see another rugger out there, they're always going to come up and drink a beer with you, and it's just always about the brotherhood of rugby. So that was the one thing that probably kept me down here is really getting to start play rugby. I started to play when I first moved down here. I didn't know anybody down here when I moved down, so I got to meet those guys, and I started playing right out of the gate. You know.
Did you ever play? Because you're from Pennsylvania. Both. This is what's funny. You're both from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
How close were your towns to each other?
Not very.
Not very. Okay, so
And you met
just
down here.
because Pennsylvania, by the way, it's like freaking to go from east to west in Pennsylvania is like a 2-day trip.
Yeah.
At least it feels like it. So you were very far. So you didn't know that until you got down here.
Yeah.
So you didn't play up there?
No, I didn't know anything about rugby. I came down here. The F&B manager at the country club at Hilton Head was from Ireland, and he brought me out. I didn't know anybody, and met some guys, and it was great, and stuck with it. And I remember my first match was down at Hilton Head Prep, and I'm on the sidelines waiting to go in, and one of my teammates dove into the try zone, and his collarbone got clipped by a knee, and he got up, and his collarbone was sticking out of his skin. It was like this, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. What am I doing here?
Sobriety.
So, but I 12 years, we were pretty successful on Division III in the country. 1 year, we were ranked 5th in the country.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, so.
From little Hilton Head.
Yeah, we played beat a lot of teams, Chicago, Charlotte, teams in Florida. Yeah, we were pretty good for quite a long time. Then the team took a break, lost some interest on the island, but they're out there now playing. I think they're in season right now, I think.
That's pretty wild.
So.
That's pretty cool.
Well, just to bring it back, the same thing with baseball, right? They have such a small island, but there's so much talent on here. Mm-hmm. I mean, the things that you've been able to do with the Baseball Association and this group of kids that are coming through are amazing.
Yeah. So what is your history? Because for those who are watching, I just got to brag about this. We had the 10U team last year. How many state champions have we had come through here? Quite a few.
There's been I think through the history of the HHBA, I believe we were number 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
5,
this was last year, 2024. 10U team wins the state championship, goes to the Diamond Youth Baseball World Series, and finishes 3rd.
Yes.
Overall.
Mm-hmm.
That is like pretty amazing for this little island. Like, wouldn't you say? And so how did you get involved in the baseball and
how
because I
did that
know
all
you
start?
have had a baseball like past. Was that sort of your career path in the beginning?
Yeah. My story is I feel like I'm repeating my years of in and out of college and just coaching a lot of baseball. I think I told you that back before I moved to Hilton Head, I was coaching 13 to 15-year-olds Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and the 16 and 18-year-olds Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I was making $40 a day working at a pizza place.
Jeez,
the vice president of my baseball association at the very young age of like 19 and 20, but things happened and I needed to make a change out of there, and I moved to Hilton Head and started working, and then I got an opportunity to coach high school baseball.
Was it Hilton Head High?
Yeah, he coached
I was a
the Seahawks.
JV coach in 2006 and 2007, and then quickly realized that I didn't have any kids at the time, that I needed to get my career going and focus on that. So the next few years, it was all about insurance, and I got to start opening restaurants, and then once when RD came, that's when I started to get the plan of getting back involved, because I knew that I wasn't going to get back involved until I had children, and I'll ride my children out and I'll volunteer my time to the HHBA in some facet down the road of consultation or umpiring or something, but it won't.
Oh, I can see you being an umpire.
Oh my gosh, I want to be on that field.
The 40 hours a week is when Rock's older, it's when Rock was older. Peace out.
Peace out.
Yeah. Garrett, explain what him as an umpire would be for the audience.
Oh my God! I thought we were gonna have it the other night, but it didn't happen. But I don't know. I think he'd be on his phone the whole time, looking at his voice.
I had umpire the 10U game the other night.
Did you?
Yeah. And I was like out there umpiring, I was like, swing the bat, and I'm like going, beat the kids for not getting ready.
You yelling never.
It's funny. Shala says this the other day, because I was doing batting practice with him, and he really pissed me off for a minute, and I started cussing. He goes, "Dad, it's okay to cuss at me." He goes, "Coach Rob does it all the time." I go, Coach Ralph cusses? He's like, yeah, all the time.
Well, just some of the easy words.
But I mean, need to throw you under the bus, but it's just fun.
But I was laying into him. I was like,
We get there. I get there sometimes.
Oh, yes. 11-year-old boys, 10-year-old boys.
And stop, D'ing around, So, sometimes it's the only way to get their attention sometimes because, it's...
They know at that.
Yes,
like with Shiloh, I knew I had to snap his state.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get him to be like lock in, and then he did. Like, whoa, that's cousin.
Dad's a little mad.
Well, coming from and Garrett just getting involved with the second age group now, but I have a little more experience with the multiple age groups because coaching the older kids that without a kid on the team, and then our son's teams, and then my youngest son's team, his youngest son's team, we have a unique group of very talented baseball players.
Yes.
Psychos.
Yeah.
There is not. it is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Getting these boys, but their personalities make them who they are to be successful who they are. But managing it is very. It's not like that with my other teams that we don't have as many unique.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they're strong in their own ways.
Yeah.
And they're
but they're also very fragile in another way.
They are, and they're also very, they have, they're a unique group of crazies, lovable crazies.
Sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. They push us to the limit, man.
Yeah.
They do.
They're like, are you serious?
Are you thinking about making a move to the Lowcountry?
Whether you're searching for the perfect home or you're exploring vibrant communities on the coast or dreaming of a new lifestyle, we're here to help.
Contact the David Dale team today and let's make your dream a reality.
I have to say it though, like I would have never imagined, like I didn't have travel ball, like it wasn't like a part of my life, and so that I'll never forget the first time he pulled me in. It was at a football game. Remember that? He's like, hey, I think Shiloh should play some 8U ball, and you got to go talk to that guy. And he's pointing to you. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's how I got into coaching. Is,
that's
the boys were going to Bananas Camp one summer, and he was coaching like the 11U team or something, 10U team. And he comes in my driveway to pick up Graham and to get on there for the day. It was like on a Tuesday. He goes, hey, you're coaching the 8U Hurricane team. We're starting a travel team.
Yeah.
It's starting here in the fall. Get ready for
That's
it.
how you
That's exactly right.
Like, all right. I guess I'm coaching. I was always helped him out coaching I'm never one of those dads or parents on the sideline that, bitch and complain to the coach. I went and helped him.
There was a minute, and there still are minutes. There was a lot of minutes back then where I knew that RD and I, couldn't be, as far as like direct coach to him, as father son stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had, when I started, there was only one of Hiram Rodriguez and I were the only two Hurricanes teams.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah, that's it.
Just two.
When was that? What year was that?
So those boys are now 13. We're going to watch them. That's why I got to be at Crossing, because those boys are scrimmaging in St. Francis. And so some of the St. Francis boys and some of our 13U Hurricanes teams are playing tonight. But that was the original team when they were 9. And
that was
Hiram coached the 11. That was at 2 teams.
Wow.
When we started.
You guys have done
And now
amazing.
you look at it now how it's gone from 7 through 16 and you have multiple teams at some ages and stuff and all the kids and it's been pretty amazing.
But just to highlight like this weekend at Shipyard, right? Just to brag a little bit on the Hurricanes and the job you guys have done. And I know you probably don't like me doing this, but I mean 3 age groups in the championship.
Yeah.
At Shipyard.
Which Shipyard's not a
to the point that Greg made that announcement at the end, and he was like, "This is pretty noteworthy." The Hurricanes are doing things the right way, but it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I almost wore that hat.
Built the culture.
I almost wore the Shipyard hat.
The Shipyard hat.
It's so funny. I won't even let Shiloh wear them.
Yeah, it's hanging out with everything.
We have a little trophy shelf, and those are the 2 hats he's not allowed to wear.
Yeah,
I'm like, son,
don't lose them, man.
Those are because for those who don't know, like Shipyards in Charleston, South Carolina. It's personally my favorite place.
Yeah, I think it's the greatest place on the East Coast.
It really is, and it's so special. And those teams are always
come from all over the country. Let's make sure we know that.
Yeah,
stadium seating, turf fields. Amazing on the Wonder River, great food.
And they have a bar. They have a bar in the parking lot. So
bar in the parking lot.
You cannot
Some might call it a barbecue restaurant. People call it a bar. Just being a restaurateur here, they do serve food.
But that's not the important part.
We can see Garrett's locked in.
Straight to the bar.
Straight to the bar.
Well, after 7 years and 11 years, yes.
It's funny
you deserve it.
Because you can't take drinks in, because we learned that the hard way our first year, Rob.
We set up the whole mini bar and the press box.
He was not impressed. But now we do the double shots before we go into the first game.
But speaking of that, give me one of your favorite or most ridiculous baseball coaching moment. To put you on the spot for a minute.
If you can.
I got one that involves him. I think it was us coaching our first championship together, 8U, and Rob was coach pitch. So Rob was coach pitching, and believe it or not, he got thrown out of the game. It was fifth inning or something like that, fourth or fifth inning, and then begged the umpire to leave him stay because he was a pitcher. Wouldn't allow it to happen. Out of the park, not in the dugout, out of the park.
You got kicked out.
So I think we were tied or losing, or it was a very close game, and I came in there and I had to pitch, and I think we scored like 14 runs on that and won the championship. But
what was the rub? What happened?
Well, let me just explain something here, Cameron. Right? In all the coaching I just talked about, I've gone thrown out of one game in my life.
Which was that one?
Okay.
It was when RD was 7 years old, Graham was 6. You know what I mean? It was their coach pitch game, and I got thrown out. And all I did was come up to politely put my hat over my mouth because it was COVID time. And then like, mate just said it was a bad call, and he threw me out. Right? So I was on the board and everything at this time.
Wow.
So, anyway, I was supposed to leave the park, but I didn't. I hid behind a few other chubbier people like me and was able to watch Garrett finish it out, and the team rallied, and they scored like 10 runs and ended up winning the game against our buddy Nate, who was the other guy. And he was
Nate?
Nate
he was over there and like standing there with alligator arms when they said, "Coach, do you want him to stay?" You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was, my funny story, I have so many of them, but I just had one recently. It just happened last weekend. So I'll tell the most recent is that, I have this boy who's new to baseball, and he came up and he's excited and he has never played before and stuff, but he came up and he was the first one to sell his discount cards, and he came up and he was the first one to hand in the homework assignment. We gave him a homework assignment of what can we do to be better, and he wrote it out on his little paper. Only two kids did it. Nobody else did it. And he said, "Coach, I got my Marucci cup underwear on. I got my cup." I said, "Charlie, you are my new captain. You are my new captain of the dugout. You get to read the lineup out every game, and you get to tell the kids when they're back." So I give him the lineup, and he does the first game, and he's like, "All right, Rocco, you're up, LT, you're up." So the second game comes, and he says, "Hey, Grandpa, where's the lineup?"
Grandpa said, to you?
Yeah. And I was like, wait. All right. So I'm like, "Here you go, Charlie. Sorry, yada, yada, yada." So I don't think anything of it, yada, yada. And Rocco's coming off the mound, and Rocco's like, "Dad, why don't you throw this pitch or whatever?" And poor Charlie comes up to me and says, "Wait, you're Rocco's dad?"
Oh, sweet boy.
"Yeah, Charlie." And it all clicked. He thought I was Rocco's grandfather. And I said, "Well, this is a new moment." I said, this is a new moment. And I said, I better go get my hair cut for the Real Talk, because the gray on the side is coming out. So it's obviously little Charlie thinks that I'm a grandfather. So anyway, I guess when you see Jeff Robinson, for those of you know Jeff, you know what I mean? I probably look older than him, and he really is a grandfather. So that's my most recent story. So
I got to tell the one with was it last year, 2 years ago in the regular season. So we're playing. I don't think we're first place. We're second place, something like that. And we lose this game, and Rob's pissed. And we get out of left field, and he gets all the boys out there, and he goes, raise the hand who's mad we lost this game? And all the boys raise their hand, and here's Liam Phelan over here, Big Liam we call him. Yeah. And he's just down there, and Rob's ears, his face, and he's, Liam, you're not mad because you lost this game? He's, nope, Coach, I'm just happy to be here. Yeah. I had to turn around, and I was laughing my ass off, and had to leave. And he didn't know what to say. Yeah.
My mom was talking about it. Yeah. Little plug for Liam. His grandparents own Henschie's Cigar Bar and Grill.
Oh, okay.
A great place another great local place to go down that we hang out with, and great food and great people. For Hilton. I've been in business for like 30 years, so
that's awesome.
Beth Henschie is married to John Phelan, and they have 4 great kids, Liam being one of them, and he was a sweet kid, but he was like...
They're from Cleveland, aren't they?
John is.
Cleveland area.
The Henschie family is from Wheaton, Illinois, or I think somewhere near...
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. That's funny. I was happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
And I didn't know what to do. I just was like, all right, I'm going to turn around here and laugh, because all my bad injuries at the drain, you know what I mean? And it's like... it really helps me. It's helped me some of these situations like that have helped me, understand the rec dynamic of baseball, and
they ground
although I
you,
still
don't
have my
they?
moments, but there's these little things that I remember our first coach pitch game, and the one kid hit it and he ran to third instead of first. You know what I mean? It's memories like that.
Wait, that way versus that way.
And those memories stay just as much as the state championship memories do of what we just
100%. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was our 3rd state championship too. Just to make that, we lost the first 2.
And
we won that one. I think just the state championship itself. I remember.
Well, Garrett and me, yeah. So we went, 2 years in a row where.
Ate you.
Yeah. Yeah, where we went.
Because you had the 8U team twice, because they were young. And then,
was that Blythe that beat you twice, or?
Lexington the one time.
Lexington.
And what was the other? Lancaster,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In the championship final game of the tournament, both times.
And then this past year, it was the 8-year-olds got beat by Blythewood. So they are 3-peat second runner-up, losing in the final game.
Wow.
Yeah.
All I know is Greer's coming for you guys.
Yeah.
Greer, listen, bring it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So what is more stressful, coaching in a state championship or a day in your business?
Oh, business, absolutely. Although
I gotta admit,
like that sometimes. It's
the baseball stresses me out. I'm like, why do I care so much?
I do. I mean, it is stressful. I'm not saying that, but I mean, I don't know. My job is not very fun sometimes. So, but I go to the field to let loose,
decompress.
And sometimes it's not that, because we end up. These kids are so competitive, like Rob was saying. Our travel teams are so good and competitive. We got to stay on them so they, show what they can do.
Right.
And if you don't,
there's so much talent.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this 11U team we have now have been together since they were all 7. And
it's
we
amazing.
Win a lot. So, and they're really good and they're fun to be around. But, they drive us nuts a lot of times too.
Well, but they're also changing. It's that age of change.
And they drive the hotel nuts too.
That's my favorite. Yeah. When we were at States, how that hotel just let us have the run of it for the week.
They were the best hotel though. Like
that was
in Columbia.
In Columbia.
Oh my gosh.
They were just like, have at it.
Yeah, I don't. Did we talk? Yeah. So I mean. That hotel that we were just at, that was the reason why we had it. That's the reason why I originally got in the RV, And then,
So is running your business, because you have 3 of them.
Yeah, let's talk about.
Let's switch gears.
Because I do want to switch gears. Because this is, for anybody who's watching, who's thinking about coming to the area. Obviously, we're in real estate, and there's people who live here, they thrive here, they have businesses here.
Yep.
You guys are involved in a lot here. Let's talk about some of what you do and your businesses and how you got involved in it, and and your attachment to the community with it and how it's embedded
it's a big part of the community.
So different strokes here. His job is definitely bigger, harder than ours is. Mine is, so for sure.
I mean, you were playing tennis and taking naps today.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not supposed to be on camera. Rob's like, I work from 8 a.m. to 6
I gotta throw you under
every
the bus,
day.
Rob.
Yeah.
All right, talk about IMC.
Yeah, IMC Resort Service. I got into a lot. The reason I moved down here was to live at the beach. I'm from Western Pennsylvania. It's the gloomiest.
That was the drive.
Gloomiest place. I went to Penn State. I came down here, didn't know where Hilton Head was. Got a job at the Country Club of Hilton Head, being an accounting.
So that's
we
where
live
you
right down the street.
started,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
I went to school for accounting, and I was like, hell yeah.
You know, I went to school for accounting too.
You did?
Yeah, I have an accounting degree, which is like crazy, and I'm like,
He would
what was
never
I
be.
thinking?
Yeah.
Like,
There's no way.
who wants to do this for a living?
He does.
Yeah, so I went to work for a company called Club Corp, and I was like, that'd be a cool company to go and play golf and live at the beach, and I'll do that for a year, and I'll move back. And that was in 2003, so I never moved back. And
Wow.
I started playing rugby. He said Craig and Brian were playing, and they already worked at IMC, so we started being close friends. And
Oh, so that was the connection. I want.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
and Brian or Craig, are they like
Brother-in-laws, yeah.
Brother-in-laws. Okay, so they're related. So you got that. So that's how I never knew that.
Yeah, so Craig's dad tried to hire me for about a year and a half, and then I finally got fed up with the corporate structure, and I went to work for them in 2006, and it's been a long ride. I think at that point we only managed like 27 communities, and
So
had
let's
like,
explain to the audience
Yeah.
exactly what your company
because this
does.
is actually ties into the real estate side. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people coming here, I don't know about you guys, where I grew up, like you didn't
HOA?
have pools and
There's no-
HOAs. I mean, it was just neighborhoods,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, you
Yeah.
build a bunch of houses, and like I live over here, you live over there. But here, it's
That's
all
all it is.
HOA is part
yeah,
of
so
life
we
here.
manage communities, condo communities, HOAs, which are gated communities, single-family home communities, commercial entities, communities. We call them like our office buildings, technically like condos.
Yeah.
That's how they pay a monthly fee. So
Yeah,
we
because
manage-
everybody in those buildings, they own those units,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So each one of those.
Responsible.
And
So
you manage the maintenance.
we manage, condo communities a little different than HOAs. They are both complicated. So we manage. You pay a fee, and part of that fee is to have a management company to make sure your property values stay up. But ultimately, is what it is.
Yeah.
Take care of the property. We make sure we hire vendors. Make sure the vendors are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Handle accounting, insurance, administrative stuff for the community. They have a community manager. So all that. And when I started in 2006, we had 27 communities. Now we have over 200.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like we said
That's
earlier,
a
the
10X.
biggest employee, right?
You,
Yeah.
200 communities.
Yeah, about 130 some down here, and
Wow.
73 in Charleston, something like that.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So you guys make sure the pools everything's good, all the grounds are
For the
looking
homeowners.
good, all the.
Yeah, take all the complaints. Make sure that people aren't doing things
Your
they're not
favorite
supposed to be
part.
doing. Yeah. So it's challenging, but I get all the the major complaints because they say shit rolls uphill. So
Yes.
Yeah.
that's me, and that's how living down here. I mean, I hear people say it all the time, like sick of this place. And I looked at my neighbor the other day. He said that to me. I was like, you're sick of this place. People would die to live in Hilton Head.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, let's talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
why do you say that? Because, I mean, you've been here 20-some years. Do you look back and ever say, like, hey, I wish I would have gone here. I wish I would. I mean,
No, because this size of a community is perfect for me. I'm from a very small town of like less than 100 people. Like your typical
What?
no stoplight town. Yeah.
Wow.
like,
So
just a little general feed store for your
next
cattle.
town over had a feed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a feed store there, and we had a grocery store, and yeah.
Yeah, well, what people don't know about Pennsylvania is you have Pittsburgh, which he's closest to on the left, and Philadelphia on the right, and then you have Alabama in the middle. And we're kind of from the Alabama.
You're from
Yeah.
that.
No way.
Yeah.
So
That
is that rural?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what about Harrisburg? Like Harrisburg.
Harrisburg, yes.
Oh, yeah,
obviously.
that's a big
it's
town.
a smaller state.
Yeah,
but
okay.
the two big, the three biggest states are Pittsburgh, Philly, Pittsburgh, then State College winners of home football game.
Yeah.
So that's how Harrisburg
it.
is not a very big city when
Okay.
compared to what it is. But yeah,
So
Pennsylvania's very rural.
Really?
Very rural,
Yeah.
very very greary.
Yeah.
A lot of rain, a lot of gray skies.
A lot of banjos.
Yeah.
Sure got a pretty mouth.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You get out there. I don't think you'd make it out too.
He's too
But no, just the beach. I mean, I said to
was
my
your
neighbor,
home.
I said, I work. My office is, less than a mile from the beach, and
Yeah.
I rarely ever go to the beach because I'm at the baseball field 5-6 days a week.
Which is half a mile from
It's
your
funny.
office.
You sucked me into that. I was at the beach every day. Now I'm at the field freaking all the time.
But to have the weather, and I
Yes.
like to golf. I don't golf. I like to get out in the water in the boat, all that
Yeah.
stuff, and just the community. I mean, we have some of the best restaurants.
Yeah.
There is local restaurants, not chain restaurants.
It's entrepreneurs just like yourself that are creating those. I think that's what's so special about Hilton Head. It's the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, opportunity.
Yeah. So what brought you here, Rob?
Because we need to shorten the podcast a little bit. Let's say that I moved here needing some change, and my goal was to move here and work for 6 months, save up some money, and go out west.
Oh.
What?
I was going to go to Vegas and chase my dealer, valet, dream, whatever. So I moved here. I got a job at the Westin and the Hilton at the time, night audit, the Hilton and the Westin, and worked for.
Doing what?
You were
just waiting tables and doing night audit. I had worked for Hilton Hotels a little bit back home, so doing reservations and stuff. So I moved here. Ended up in Hilton Head, and still had goals to move out, and then had this inappropriate relationship with a boss of mine.
All right, explain the rest of the story. Yeah.
And she's still your boss.
She's still your boss.
Now she really became the boss, So
now she's CEO.
Fell in love with Hilton Head, and here we go. And I want to say this story that people don't know about me. Garrett doesn't know this. You guys don't know this. But early in the 2000s, I was working at the Westin, and I was waiting tables, and this is for this podcast, this story. So, and I was kind of like, what am I doing in my life? You know what I mean? Yeah. And my brother, who
I'm
is
sort of there now.
My younger brother, right? Yeah, my younger brother, who is super successful, and that lieutenant colonel in the Army, and at the time he was captain or major, whatever he was, Apache pilot. And I was like, man, I don't want to. And he said to me, he said, Bob, what the heck is wrong with you? He said, I don't care what you're doing. He says, you get to live in the place that people spend their whole lives to saving to retire to. And from that moment forth, it clicked, it changed for me. Wow. Where it went from being just a waiter and just whatever I want to do to finding some kind of vision to have a career and making Hilton Head my home. You know?
Wow.
So, Hilton Head is a very special place. And I think that, when we take advantage, or we don't take advantage of all of our, he says he moved to the beach. I tell people I wanted to move to the beach too, but and we have the beach, but we don't go to the beach as much as we probably should, right? All of us, right?
The first year you will.
Because you're living life. Because we have life.
Yeah, we have life.
Well, and the only reason why I play golf is because there's a rule in my head that says if you live in Hilton Head, you got to play golf or go to the beach, and I don't go to the beach.
So at least you want to.
Hilton Head is a special place, and I've learned to, it'll be my home for the rest of the time that.
So how did you get into insurance? Because you have
So I was working at the Westin, and there was a gentleman moved in from Ohio, from Steubenville, Ohio, who moved down here, and he had an agency there, and he moved down here, and he started to work, and I met him, and he just was like, Rob, you have the personality to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to come work for me. You got to come work for me. Yeah. And kind of similar to what Garrett had. It took him a year and a half or so. It took me a while, too. It actually took to the point where I got fired from the Westin. Because I was afraid to change. Okay. I had a pretty good gig there. I ain't gonna lie, a pretty good gig. But that I got fired from there. That it pushed me into the insurance business, and then the insurance business just was just my natural talent. You know what I mean? So, and then I was able to get that rolling, and then the restaurants came because the stock market was crashing, and my brother at the time was like, man, I'm kind of losing my money in the stock market. I said, well, if you're going to let some CEO dunk your money off, I said, why don't you give me 50 grand? We'll open up a bar. And I said, how are we going to open up a bar for 100 grand, 50 grand each? So we found a way, because at the time when the 2008 crash happened after that,
we were in
the times of 2010 when the first restaurant opened, people were working for half the money. The equipment was pennies on the dollars. Yep. You know what I mean? Things like that. So we were able to open up a little restaurant for 100 grand, which is unheard of today. You can open up a restaurant for 300 grand now. Yep. Maybe 400, 500,000.
Wow.
And was that the Bluffton one?
Was that close?
That was the original one. The original Cheap Seats was on Matthews Drive.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
always went there for interesting games.
When did you move to Main Street?
The Main Street one was moved in 2019 or 2018. We opened up that, and it was
that's
because
Club Seats, right?
Yeah,
that's
it was because Cheap Seats was still open. A new Morningstar storage sold to Public Storage. We didn't know what was going to happen with lease. I had a really bad feeling in my stomach that it wasn't going to go well. So I had an opportunity to open another restaurant. So for about 6 months, Cheap Seats and Club Seats were still open.
Oh, wow.
And the Club Seats that you guys know today, Club Seats Restaurant, Main Street.
Yes, exactly. Well said.
And Colonial South Insurance.
Very
Dry
local.
wings. Actually tried all these good stuff. But anyway, that actually started out as we were trying to do like this high-end martini bar and music and things like that.
Yeah.
And so when you actually see the sign on the front, because I never changed it, but
And
it's
the
like
martini.
Martini glass.
I see that.
It was melts and martinis. So we were trying to do this melt concept with martinis and anyway.
Wow.
So we quickly realized that we got to get back to our roots of locals and thing. The original Cheap Seats, the motto was to have a place to go, and this is going to be a little ding on you guys, or at least him.
Okay, okay. Well,
I opened a bar and I was like, I need a place to get away from Ohio.
I was going to say, get away from
I where I could get away from Ohio.
Yeah.
And I said,
Don't be a hater, man.
And I'm married to an Ohioan, so
You
can say
every Sunday after Ohio State beats us, my family-in-law from Ohio calls to say hello. I hear from them one time out of 365 years. You know what I mean? But anyway, and it stemmed from there. The one led to the other. We have our restaurant side just is all about local people and people like travelers like I am that say, where do the locals go?
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I love so much about that. So you have the island one and you have a Bluffton one as well, right?
Yep. So listen, you got to get out here, right?
Yes, he does.
It's 4:30.
I got some time, but
a little bit. All right. Well,
40 minutes right now.
40? Wow,
well,
God. All
Rob
right,
has
two
to
things. We've got to come. You guys have to come back.
Sure.
You have to, because this is fun. This is like one of my favorite podcasts so far. Like, this is awesome. Let's do some rapid fire.
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah, go for it.
What are your kids' favorite things about growing up here?
My kids, my oldest son, I can't keep him inside, so it's outside all the time.
He'll be at our house outside
tomorrow. We'll keep him busy tomorrow.
Bikes, boating from a young age. They're spoiled, so they don't understand what it is to be inside. So for them to pick anything, what they do is
they don't know our winters.
No,
for 8 months.
But that's why we moved here, right?
Right?
So they didn't have to deal with that and could be active outside.
We get to go down to the beach. I like to go down. If I do go to the beach, I like to go to Tiki Hut.
Yes.
I like to sneak down there on a Sunday afternoon and let the boys run, listen to music, have a couple beers, and it's the perfect spot. So
it really is.
Just being able to go out with their friends and hang out all the time because we have so much sun and so many nice days.
There's so many beautiful places.
Friends.
Like, it's funny you say Shiloh would just show up on your door.
And say, tell your 5 or 6
No, that's what I love about Shiloh, and that's what I told them all the time. Shiloh reminds me of what it was like when I grew up, because Shiloh was go knock on your friend's door and see if he's home.
Remember Artie, the first time he did it?
Yeah.
Artie's like, what are you doing here? He's like, we don't have a date planned.
Somebody's at the door.
It's probably a minute, you know what I mean? And now they're like, can we go down the crosses? Yeah, okay. I think that our children here, when you ask the question of what do they appreciate, and I don't think that, besides they probably are a little spoiled, I guess, whatever, but I think that the appreciation for them isn't going to come till they're older.
Exactly.
They have to be able to see, what's out there that's different to appreciate what you have. And I think that's just natural,
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes Hilton Head so special for you guys as realtors and people that want to move here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we've come from repressed areas or different areas and see how special Hilton Head is and, how, if you, and I would tell anybody, if you had an opportunity to buy in Hilton Head or invest in Hilton Head or whatever, it's a winner.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
We go through highs and lows and we go through the same troubles, but the long and short of it, you look at the history of Hilton Head and even the Bluffton area and all that, it's a winner to put your money into that,
Yeah.
Let me say this about COVID, because people out there in COVID and in other areas, we were so spoiled with COVID.
Oh my God, were we?
As everybody was stuck indoors, not able to do anything. I was on the boat every day with the boys. We were outside, with our neighbors, playing ball still, keeping the distance and everything like that. But we had so much outdoor stuff. I remember as it was going down, I went and bought us all brand new bikes.
Yeah.
So we were biking all the time.
Yep.
I upgraded the boat.
Yeah.
So we were out in that. I mean, it was great.
You had your Jeep.
Had the Jeep.
Yep.
Yeah, we got out on the beach.
We lived at Dolphin Head like every day.
We were down
it was
there
like.
I mean, it wasn't that bad. Everybody's like, oh, it's terrible. Talking to friends back home and everything like that. We can't go out. Nothing's open.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's, we have friends that live in the plantation. I don't know if you know the Bolins, Nick and Bambi Boland. Do you know
I don't
them?
think we know the Bolins.
They're Ohioans.
Okay.
They own.
Surprise.
They own the.
You can't get away, Rob.
What's that?
God,
I can't.
Pearl Vision.
Pearl Vision out in Bluffton, and Bambi works for Dr. Bishop. But anyway, they were our COVID family. You know what I mean? So we were like, well, if we're getting it, you're getting it. So let's just hang out.
Well,
we always said April of COVID was like the greatest month of my life. I mean, outside of like the fact that baseball was canceled, like it was like we played golf every day.
Yeah.
And we'd have to go outside, ride your bikes.
Every day.
No responsibility.
Right.
No,
no school.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we would hear your parties from our house, just for the record.
We still can. I've almost got some folks over today.
Shadow literally is like, it sounds busy. Can I go down?
I'm like, no, I got a party.
Yeah.
No. But to your point, it's funny because I remember when we first moved here, and we would always meet these people, younger people who had grown up here, and we're like, hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from here. And then you always ask them, did you move away? Oh, yeah. I went to Atlanta, I went to Charlotte, went to Charleston.
Yeah.
What brought you back? I realized, I grew up in Paradise. So they left, and they were like, oh, my God, this is how the rest of the world lives. I'm going back home because they want their kids to experience that. Because that was our biggest concern for these guys was coming from Charlotte, leaving the big city, how would they feel? And we've often talked to them. Asher, he can attest to this.
I think it's pros and cons. I think there's not as much as to do for the kids as the normal city does.
They're not entertained.
Correct. Yeah. But there still is plenty to do because it's outdoor and it's different.
Well, think about
it this way. If they choose to do it.
We're a small town, right? But we have a lot to offer. But you're only 2 hours from Charleston.
Exactly.
Right?
You're 4.5 hours from Atlanta. You're 2.5 hours to Jacksonville.
3 hours to Charlotte.
Yeah. So you got some major.
Yeah, and Savannah.
Yeah, I forget about Savannah. Yeah, so Savannah's great. So you got all that stuff outside of our little bubble here of our paradise.
And then every time you come across that bridge, you're like,
I'm glad I'm home.
I will say, in Asher's defense, he'd be able to ride his dirt bike a little more in Charlotte.
Right.
Yes.
And
have
a golf cart. Even though you got one.
You figured out a way.
You got one.
I don't have plantation. I got one too.
Last one.
Last question.
I've got a couple here.
You guys go.
If Beaufort County had its own reality show, what would it be called?
I got it.
What is it?
Baseball Moms.
Baseball
Moms. We got it. We got it here. I've been talking about it because I got this. I won't say. We got these travel teams and
we've got some stories, don't we?
I got some stories.
Can you leave it at Travel Moms?
Travel Moms.
Travel Moms.
All right. What about you, Rob?
I don't know. I mean,
Come on. I know you got something good in there.
It's got to be something on the F&B side. I'm sure the F&B in the back end is probably pretty good. You know more of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the things that you see when you own a restaurant or you're in a restaurant business, are not set for this podcast.
Listen, let it rip. It's a podcast.
Age restricted.
I guess they used to have the reality show like Girls Gone Wild back in the day. I could definitely do Bartenders Gone Wild. Just video and it's not anything like nudity. It's just like the day-to-day. In
drama.
Drama, right?
Drama.
Every day there's a car accident. Sometimes it's a little fender bender. We just kind of spit polish it away, and the next day you're life flighting somebody out of there because they didn't show.
Yes.
So
I love it because your businesses they can't get more.
No, they're very different.
You're polarized, right?
Well, look, truth be told, I do insurance for a living and I do restaurants because I'm stupid. So come support either one.
Yes.
All right. So what we're gonna. So for you, we usually put contact information for people online, but IMC Like you're really just the communities, right? That's
I manage communities. So I mean, Sunquest Property Group, we do long-term rentals too. You know,
Okay.
Everybody down here wants investment property, long-term rentals. We do that also.
So if someone purchases a property, your company could help them
rent it
with
out,
renting it out.
oversee it, all that.
There you go,
type of stuff.
Sunquest.
Okay.
So they rental
Sunquest.
management. So if you're buying a property, you need a rental management company. Contact.
Yeah.
We'll put
Garrett.
and then obviously insurance. You actually, if you're getting a property through us, you're probably going to talk to Rob at some point anyway.
Or my team for sure.
Yes.
Or your team.
Yes.
Your team. So.
But definitely come and visit the restaurants. They're a lot of fun.
Yep.
We've been there plenty times.
Yep.
So,
Great food, lot of fun.
it's club seats in Hilton Head and cheap seats in Bluff.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we'll add to the podcast. If you mention that you heard about club seats or cheap seats from Real Talk, you get a free drink.
This is our
I love
first
it.
promo.
Yes.
Hashtag. All right.
So
Free drink.
you say the podcast. I found out about you from the Real Talk podcast. Free drink, first drink.
There you go.
Cheers to
Bam.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cheers, Rob.
Cheers.
Thank
Guys,
you.
that's thank you.
It was
That works.
wonderful.
We'll see.
Thanks,
Guys, thanks for
That
coming
was
on.
wonderful.
This has actually been so much fun. Please come back.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
this, we try to educate, but this was just more, like we said, we're shooting the shit. And this is like actually my favorite podcast.
Yeah.
What's that?
Thank you.
What?
Do you want me to end it? Or not?
Right now?
Yeah, I'm still recording.
And it's still recorded.
Alright.
Keep this in there.
We'll edit this
Okay.
out.
Thank you.
But thank you, guys.
No. We're just we're finishing
No,
up.
seriously,
But thank you guys
that
for
was
coming
a lot
on.
of fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
And sorry if I didn't mean it. I didn't know I don't know how this works. So if you need us in the future or whatever, just my best time is probably during the day. I don't know about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and what I'm saying is, this is a perfect time for us. But we're saying so much fun. Just come back.
Yeah.
You guys have been great.
Hair and makeup for this episode brought to you by Salon Celeste, where style meets sophistication. Let Victoria Gonzalez create a confident, radiant look with an expert cut, stunning color, or the perfect blowout. Book your appointment today.
Don't forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe to Real Talk Hilton Head and leave us a review to help others discover the Lowcountry lifestyle.